Okay, so it has been a very long while since I didn't talk to you like that. Since I haven't talked to you like that, I'm trying to adjust the light. The light is really bad. I wanted to talk to you because I came back from France, from Paris and Germany. I was in Heidelberg and in Paris, in France. I didn't talk to you since then. I came back about two weeks ago, something like that, and I came back with the flu, so I've been sick during 10 days and it's not completely over, and I had to catch up with all what I had to do, because even if my sales were continuing, I still had a lot of work to do, especially tax returns. Oh joy, the kind of thing that we want so much to do when we come back from vacation. I wanted to talk about Paris because when I arrived there it was kind of hard. There was such a difference of style, of lifestyle between the both. Nothing major because still, USA as France are Occidental countries, but I think a difference of pace. But in the same time, in France everything is slower, but in the same time everything seemed faster because there are a lot of people in the streets, because we can take the metro, so we cross the city really fast, and we don't lose some time like here in the car. I think the difference for me was in my mind. It was in my mind because actually I realized that there were not a lot of differences, except for the internet service. Obviously it's much better in the US because my parents were without internet and the phone during 2 weeks, which is absolutely incredible. Even all the shops down the building had the same problem, so they couldn't even accept payment through credit cards, and it was kind of weird. But Paris changed a lot. I've not been there during 9 years. Yes, 9 years, 8 years and a half, and it changed a lot in the meantime, but in the good direction. There was obviously an improvement, except at the post office. The post office in Paris, they want to become a bank, so they try to minimize the service to the public, to the people, and it's really bad. I don't know how the post office is going to turn out in Paris, because it's really, well, they are not pleasant when we go there. In Germany it was a small office kind of replacing the post office. It was kind of a office where you can go and buy or drop your packages, and they were very nice in Germany. But you know, Heidelberg is a very small city beside Paris, of course, so we cannot compare. I came back from Paris, and when I came back here I was very confused. I'm searching for the word confused. We say in French, à côté de mes pompes. It means beside my shoes. It means that I was kind of, yes, disturbed, because everything went too fast. You know, I was in Paris and Germany during 1 month and 4-5 days. It seemed to be so fast because I still had to do some work, so it took some time. I still had to go to the post office to do things like that I usually do here, so there was not such a big change of my usual activity. And I had to meet friends, family. I barely had the time to see them all. Actually, there are some people that I didn't see and they are very upset, but it's not my fault. I didn't have the time. I went to Germany rather quickly because I have my son there and my family, my very close family to me, so my grandchildren, and that was something else. So in Germany I was depending completely on my son to take me somewhere because there is no metro. In Paris, I must tell you the story of when I came back from Germany. So I took the train And I knew that I was going to arrive very late in Paris, so I was planning to take a Uber or a taxi, something like that. I was supposed to arrive at 11 p.m. from Heidelberg, no, Mannheim. I was taking the train in Mannheim. So first, my son almost remained stuck in the train because he wanted to help me with the suitcase, and he had to rush out of the train, otherwise he was stuck inside and he would have gone to Paris with me. So that was weird. And then during the trip I had a kind of a panic attack because a guy beside me was sitting and he had his bags at the top, and then at a point after just before a stop, he left his bags at the top, and he didn't come back. And after half an hour I started panicking because I thought that maybe it was a bomb or something. I went to see the train employees. There were two women there, and I told them, yes, this guy left. So they came, they removed the bags, and maybe 20 minutes later the guy came back. I told him, I'm sorry, but you must not leave your bags unattended like that, because everybody would come to the same conclusion. Anyway, people around me, we were laughing a lot anyway. But then the guy beside me was looking at me really by a very insisting way, and I was feeling very uncomfortable. There was the alley between us, but he was sitting there, I was there, and he was watching me like that. And I was feeling very uncomfortable. And finally, they announced that we were arriving near Paris, and the train started slowing down. So I thought that we were arrived. And actually, so everybody was up with the suitcases, the bags, everything, the coach ready to go out. And all the doors didn't open. And we were waiting and waiting, and it was dark outside because it was like 11 p.m. And it was just the time when we were supposed to arrive. So, and finally, they told us that there was a problem with the doors and that we had to wait, that in 20 minutes it would be fixed, that there was an electrical problem. So we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally they told us that the problem was a little more serious and that we should maybe sit because it could take more time. At the beginning I was sitting just with my coat and still holding my suitcase and my bags, but at a point I realized that it could take more time, so I put back my suitcase where it was supposed to be, and I removed my coat and I was sitting. So in the meantime they told us that actually we were not in Paris, we were in Noisy-le-Sec, which is the suburb of Paris. We were almost there, but not completely, and that actually the train was not working, they couldn't start it again. So they were trying to reset the system to make it work. And I was sitting, so they were in an area where there were 4 seats, and we were facing each other. So that on my left I had a guy who had an appointment very early the next day and who wanted to sleep. On the other, across me on the other side, still on the left, but in front of me I had this guy who was completely upset with this train problem and was saying all the time, n'importe quoi, n'importe quoi. It means it looks like nothing, it looks like nothing, you know. He was really, really, really mad. And I'm mad, I mean very upset. And just in front of me, across the table, there was this guy who left his bags and who was watching me all the time, sitting just in front of me and trying to sleep on the table. So much he was lying so much towards me that I couldn't even put my arms on the table unless I wanted to touch him. So you imagine the situation. So I was kind of like that, you know, waiting. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited 6 hours. It means that actually we could get out of the train about at 5 a.m. It was even 5:30 if I remember well. So 5:30 finally. In the meantime, they tried to start the train, but they couldn't. So they had to make a TGV, it's another train, come to pull our train. But at a point there was a problem of brakes. They couldn't stop. They didn't know how to stop our train, so they were not sure that they would be able to do it. But finally they did it, and we went very slowly to Paris Est, Gare de l'Est, the East Paris station, and we arrived. And then once the door were open, as we were in a place where usually this train doesn't arrive, so the level of the ground was not appropriate for our train. So we had to jump from the train to arrive on the ground in the train station. So it was very high for me. Maybe for a tall guy it was not much, but for me, well, I'm not so short, but I'm not a giant, you know, and for me it was high. And I had 2 guys receiving me with my suitcase on the ground, so I didn't fall down and I could get down of the train. And I told them I didn't know that we were doing some kind of sport when we arrived. It was crazy. And when we arrived, they gave us a little box with something to eat and a bottle of water for the breakfast, because it was almost the day already. I mean, it was still the night, but we could see that the day was arriving. So that was crazy. And in the train also they offered us some water and something to eat, but the things to eat were really not good. That was my trip from Germany to Paris. I was not upset because anyway I didn't have to work the next day, so I was not upset to have spent my night in a train. At a point I even said, oh, we should have made a party and dance and put some music, and people around me, they didn't find that funny at all. I was the only one to joke, but obviously they didn't want to joke. They were very, very upset. And when we arrived, I couldn't get Uber. There was no Uber at that time, in Paris at least. And but they were offering us a taxi. So they gave us SNCF checks. SNCF checks, it's the company of the train, a check of 20 euros. It was a little short, but I took a taxi, a big cab with the 3 other people, so it was making $80, and it was quite enough to drop us everywhere we were going. And the taxi driver was really nice, and he couldn't believe that we were 6 hours late. It never happens. It really rarely happens, something like that. It was not their fault. There was mechanical problem. It happens. So that was my adventure between Germany and Paris. And it was strange because I saw Paris by a very different way from when I lived there. Because when you live there, you work there, you have another perspective on the city, and especially in my situation with my marriage problem and all that. Now I was coming like a tourist and someone who is visiting, and who is visiting her family, and who is there only to meet with friends and to enjoy the city. but I can't believe that I didn't have the time to go to the Père Lachaise. I wanted to film I'm not sure we are allowed to film actually, but I wanted to film the Jim Morrison's grave for YouTube, for you, and I didn't have the time to go. I wanted to go to the Picasso Museum. I didn't have the time to go. I wanted to go to Le Marais. It's a neighborhood in Paris that I love. Place des Vosges, I love this place. I didn't have the time to go. I was also trying to spare my money, because as I couldn't work normally, I was afraid not to have enough money, so I was trying not to spend too much. And also I had to work. I had some, even if I was working online, it still work, it still takes time. I still had photos to do for my work and things like that. So, and it's funny because I thought when I went to Paris, I thought that I would be very disturbed by the fact that there are a lot of people, that it's raining all the time. It was raining all the time when I was there. It was crazy. It's not always like that, but when I was there, it was raining all the time, all the time, all the time. And the fact that there are a lot of people, the fact of taking the metro and being stuck with a lot of people around, I really thought that it would disturb me. Actually, it didn't disturb me at all. I was very comfortable with all the people around. I didn't care much about the rain because we have so much heat here that actually it was good to have a little rain for once. Actually, when I came back here, it was raining here too, so that was fine. Actually, I was happy to be able to walk in the rain. I like walking in the rain. You know, I felt in my element, I felt in my world right away, like if I had never left. That was really strange, but a lot of things have changed. For example, the taxi drivers are much nicer now, because obviously they had a lot of competition with Uber, and they made a big effort to be better and to be more affordable. So I recommend, if you go to Paris, I recommend that you try the G7 company, because it's a very good one. The drivers are very nice, and the company, that's one of the drivers who told me that, the company, the boss of the company, the managers are very nice and very correct with their workers, with the drivers. And yeah, I liked a lot my trips with G7. I will try to find the app or the website, and I will write it in my description box. Of course, Uber is a little cheaper, but be careful, because sometimes, for example, to go to the Charles de Gaulle, to the airport, it was not interesting to take Uber. It was about the same price, but I was not sure to have a driver with Uber. For G7, I was sure to have it. He arrived just when I went out of my hotel. He was there. I was surprised how the saleswomen and men were nice, how they were nice in the stores, even in the Monoprix. Very nice, very helpful. I was surprised how comfortable and luxurious, I don't know how we say, luxurious, yes, the metros were. Very good. Well, there was also a problem in the metro. At a point, I had to get out at Trocadero because the metro couldn't go further. There was a mechanical problem too. So they told us you have to change of metro, but for me it was not interesting. I just walked until where I was supposed to go, and it was raining again. Fortunately, I had my umbrella, so I walked in the rain with my umbrella, and I arrived where I was supposed to arrive, because Paris is much smaller than Los Angeles. I wouldn't be able to do that here. It's too big here. So since I'm back, of course, I'm glad to be in my home again. I'm glad to start my work again. I'm glad to be with my cat again. But the taxes, the immigration, all that, it's really annoying. I'm not going to talk about that because we are here to talk about joyful things and not to talk about annoying things. Okay, so if you have any questions about Paris, if there are things you want to know, ask me. If I know, I will answer. My mother gave me a bunch of vintage bags and purses that she had. It was her own purses and bags. Most of them have been used, maybe 2 or 3 of them she never used them, so they still have the tag and everything. But she gave me treasures, really things incredible. So this is a Lancel, a vintage Lancel, probably from the, I think it was the 70s. I remember my mother with that. I'm not trying to sell you this. I just wanted to show you because it's so beautiful. I put some tissue paper inside. Of course, all these bags are not for me. I'm not going to wear all these bags. I will keep 1 or 2 for myself. But for example, this one. Oh, I wanted to show you this one. It's not for sale, so I'm not trying to sell it to you. Look how it opens. Sorry, I had to change of camera. I had to use my iPhone because of course my usual camera dropped dead, problem of battery as usual. I wanted to show you this purse, which is absolutely extraordinary. And look how it opens. Isn't it incredible? We don't do things like that anymore. And what is even more incredible is that the name of the brand, it was famous in the 60s. The name is Charles Blair. So I thought right away of Chuck and Blair in Gossip Girl, because Chuck is the nickname of Charles. But of course it's a coincidence, I suppose. But then I imagine maybe someone who wrote Gossip Girl, because obviously Gossip Girl is very influenced by Paris, by the 60s. Blair loves every images, movies from the 60s. She's very dressed like a 60s girl, very Audrey Hepburn, and there is a lot of Paris influence. So I thought maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe someone knew the designer Charles Blair and used these names for the characters. I don't know. Maybe I should search about that. It's interesting. Anyway, that is a marvel. It's my mother told me it was some kind of velvet, but it looks more like suede. I don't know, we see. And look at the beauty of this. Anyway, I'm not here to sell some bags. I just wanted to finish my video. I'm sorry for the change of camera, but that's how I have to do it. I will do a new video soon because I found a small thing about Marcolis. So the people who are watching me for Marcolis and Tuk Tuk are going to be happy because I found something interesting. And well, it's not much, it's just a little thing. And yes, I will continue my videos as much as I can, as usually, even if the conditions have changed on YouTube, but never mind. I don't do it for YouTube. I'm doing my videos for you and for me. Okay, I see you very soon. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, very important. If you can subscribe, and if you can watch my videos until the end, that would be wonderful. Okay, see you very soon. Bye-bye.